should we talk about today?
Let's talk about settlement value for cases and how that is computed.
Excellent. Sound good?
That sounds like a great idea.
All right. So, Dena, what do you do to kind of value the cases that you have?
Well, it depends on the kind of case you have when you're coming up with value in a case. So, for instance, in a car crash case or a slip and fall case, value is usually driven a lot by the medical bills and by the damages in a case, meaning how much the medical bills are, how much the lost wage component is, and how much the person is looking at in the future and future medical expenses. There is an element of pain and suffering, but for most of these cases, car accidents and slip and falls, a lot of settlement value is driven by the amount of the medical bills past and future, and then you add some element of pain and suffering onto it.
Yeah, what I would add to that is it's kind of an art, it's not a science. And then the other piece of the equation for me is kind of the risk tolerance of the client. How willing are they to kind of push the case to trial, or are they more inclined to kind of settle the case? So that can affect the value some too. If you have somebody who's gung ho to try the case, you can be more aggressive with the case. If you don't, then not. So what do you think about other areas of law?
Well, specifically when you talk about wrongful death cases or cases that we handle a lot, sexual assault, sexual abuse cases, they're kind of valued differently. Well, first, with wrongful death cases, there are very specific guidelines or laws that address what you can claim for damages in that instance. For example, in Florida, it's not the actual person who has passed damages you're recovering, it's more about that person's estate, which makes it financially different and is different in different states. But what we're talking about is Florida's wrongful death statute. There are also some very, I wouldn't agree with limitations on that personally. For example, in a medical malpractice case where someone has died as a result of medical negligence, if they are unmarried, for example, divorced, and have no children under the age of 25, their estate or their adult children would not be able to recover damages to that estate. On the other side of that, if you had somebody who was single and had children that were adults and they were run over by a truck, a tractor trailer, those adult children could recover damages for the loss of their parent. So each case has to be evaluated individually as to what appropriate damages, what legal damages can be collected. And that has a lot to do with how to evaluate a certain value of a case. It is not the value of someone's life, because most people would agree there's no amount of money that's going to make the death of a loved one, acceptable or okay. It's driven by these legal factors. When you come to sexual assault or sexual abuse cases, those are also very individualized. So like Dena, for example, was explaining, there are things that go into it, such as lost wages, medical bills, future medical bills, and also the damage to someone who's been abused in this way is sometimes hard to evaluate. And just like Bill was saying, it really has a lot to do with the risk tolerance of our clients and whether they are able to withstand what can be very, very difficult litigation for them. And sometimes the decisions to resolve cases without going to trial is based on that. And that's what we are here to do, is to try to help people make the best decision that they can.